G'day, Simon from Vaast Expeditions here. This is what's in my pack, where I go through exactly what I take on each trail to give you a better idea of what you might like to take and, more importantly, what you might like to leave behind. Today is the big one. We're talking about Kilimanjaro, so this video might go a little longer than the others, but let's get straight into it. I thought it'd be fun today to talk about what I wish I had on the trail because I didn't bring it and I really should have. The main thing is I wasn't expecting it to rain quite as much as it did. It bucketed down. I've since invested in a Gore-Tex rain jacket. Now on the trail, I had a regular rain jacket. It just did not cut it at all. Make sure you take one with you if you're going in that September, October area. If there's any slight hint of rain on the trail, make sure you bring one of these. They are expensive, but it will definitely be well worth the investment. The next thing I wish I bought was actually waterproof pants and gaiters. Again, we didn't expect the amount of rain we got. I have waterproof boots, which are fantastic, but because I didn't have waterproof pants or any gaiters, the water just went straight in through the top of the boot. By having waterproof pants with gaiters that would have gone on the outside of those boots, all the rain would have just disappeared rather than going into my shoes and making them soggy wet. So that's my big tip for you, something that I wish I bought that I didn't. All right, let's get into what I did bring. For this trail, you're going to need to get yourself one of these. So this is a duffel bag. This one's the Cedar Summit 90 litre. It's water resistant. It goes through very heavy rain and doesn't get too wet at all. It's got this beautiful lip that overlaps the zip to keep it more waterproof. And it's got plenty of room inside, being the 90 litres. Now the reason you'll need one of these is because the porters are going to carry all your gear for you that you won't need during the day. And they're going to carry it in this, and then they're going to put it in another dry bag and take it up the mountain. They walk a lot faster than you do, so all of this, whatever's in this bag, will be waiting for you once you get to camp. This Cedar Summit bag comes with this beautiful little strap which can actually go into 2 straps to work more like a backpack if you wanted to. So I really enjoyed this one. I've taken it on more treks than just Kilimanjaro and it's been fantastically useful. Let's have a look inside this pack. One thing to note about Kilimanjaro is that it goes through a lot of different climates. It's obviously in East Africa, so the bottom of the mountain, not being at very high altitude, actually still has a lot of heat and humidity. So you're going to need some light kind of warmer weather gear. And then by the time you get to the top, it's minus 25 degrees, windy, and there's ice forming on absolutely everything. So you'll need really extreme cold weather gear, and that has to fit in this pack. So it's very important you only take what you need, but it's important you bring what you need as well. A lot of the big things like sleeping bags and trekking poles, we actually hired them from the company, and if you're flying into Africa, I suggest you do the same. We flew from Australia with this bag, so we didn't want to have to pack in anything unnecessary. If you can hire a sleeping bag from the company, do it. If you can hire other big things like mattresses and trekking poles and things like that, things that you don't have to necessarily pack into your own bag, it's a very helpful thing to do. In saying that, we bought with us Cedar Summit Reactor Thermolite Fleece liner. The material is a lot more comfortable than most sleeping bag material, being fleece, and it adds about 18 degrees of warmth, although it probably feels more like 10 degrees of warmth to any sleeping bag. So once you get into those higher altitudes, this is going to be fantastic. Keeping with the sleeping theme, I also bought my little pillow. It's an inflatable pillow from Cedar Summit. It's the Aeros Premium Large. It weighs around about 140 grams. Was 114, something like that. Incredibly light. It takes up no space at all, so putting it in a pack like this, absolutely fine. You're going to want a couple of dry bags too. These ones are the Cedar Summit Ultra-sil 20 litres, and I took 2 of these. The main reason is if it does rain heavily, it's not probably good, whatever gets wet, it's probably not going to dry out because it's going to remain quite cold as you climb higher. I kept a lot of electronic gear, a lot of camera gear in these, socks, underwear, that kind of thing that had to stay dry. It's a peace of mind thing. The other thing is when you get into the colder altitudes at night, your breath is probably going to create some sort of moisture inside the tent. So putting whatever you want to keep dry inside these overnight is incredibly useful. Don't forget your trusty water bladder. You'll definitely need it on the trail for Kilimanjaro. You'll be carrying a day pack, and that day pack's going to be between kind of 20 and 25 litres. The only things you need to take in that day pack are things you'll need during the day. Water, maybe a jacket, maybe a beanie, definitely a rain jacket, and some snacks that you might need along the way. Everything else goes in this duffel bag to meet you at the camp once you get there. So this one is a 3 litre bladder. I found that to be more than adequate because I also had a 1 litre bottle in the side of my day pack there as well. So this was perfect. So day one, you'll be walking through the forest zone. It's a little bit warmer, so I highly recommend, you wouldn't think of this on a mountain hike necessarily, but you should definitely grab just a lightweight shirt. One is probably fine because you'll only need it for day one, but maybe if it's warmer, grab it for day two as well. Lightweight material, something that's going to be breathable and dry very fast. That's what you're going to want for the first day or two, because more than likely it's going to be quite hot and humid. With pants, there's two kinds that I would recommend you take. One's going to be the lighter weight, the quick drying, the water repelling-ish. You'll need that for the first couple of days before it gets colder. Once you do get into those colder climates, you might want to think about something like a soft shell pant, like the X series from Kathmandu. Any soft shell pant is going to do, but I found these ones incredibly useful on the trail. The reason is they've got the micro fleece on the inside. It's water repellent, it's stretchy, and it's just incredibly warm. So when I got into those higher altitudes, these came in incredibly helpful. Now for summit night, I actually layered those pants with just some merino wool thermal pants as well, just as a base layer. I actually didn't use these pants for any other time on the mountain except for summit attempt, so make sure you throw some of those in your bag. For me personally, I was way more than happy with just the thermal pants and the soft shell pants. We had minus 25 degree weather on the summit, and that was way more than warm enough for me. Now, practically every day after day two, so day three onwards, essentially, for me, it was cold enough to wear a merino wool thermal base layer. These are great because they wick away the moisture. You really want to get that sweat out of the way, especially if you stop and it gets cold. These ones are fantastic for when it starts to get a little colder, and then you can start to layer up as well. So you can put on a light jacket as you're walking, and then when you get to camp, it's a different story. When you get to camp, you're probably going to be quite cold, so you're going to need polar fleece to keep you a little bit warm, as well as a Loft down jacket, which I'll show you in a minute. The guides I went with recommended a 200 rating, so this is a Kathmandu, what they call Alsika 200, and on summit attempt, all I wore was the merino wool base layer, this polar fleece, and my 750 Loft down jacket over the top of that, with the two pants I described earlier, and I had snow socks and boots with a balaclava and beanie. That's all I needed. Minus 25 degrees, pelting wind and ice, and I was warm. I couldn't be more comfortable on the top of that mountain in that clothing, so you won't need probably more than that. This is fantastic for when you're sitting around camp in the lower altitudes. When you get higher, you'll have to shift to the down jacket. Moving lower with the clothing, socks. Now, if you haven't heard of these before, these are the Injinji socks, and they are fantastic. They're toe socks, and let me guarantee you, if you're a little bit weirded out by them or you feel uncomfortable, you need to get past that and put these on, because they are going to protect your toes and feet like nothing else. I've never gotten blisters on my feet in any trek while wearing these. These ones are just the thin liners, so I usually put on another merino wool sock over the top of this for a colder climate. For the summit attempt, I paired those toe socks with a snow sock. These ones go all the way up to your knee, so they cover the entire calf muscle, and that's probably a big factor in what kept my legs so warm, with just the two layers apart from these snow socks. You'll definitely need a pair of snow socks for summit attempt. From your toes to your head, a balaclava. This one's just a simple polar fleece balaclava, nothing too incredible going on here. All you really want to make sure with this one is that it covers your nose comfortably and it goes past your neckline a little bit, so when your jacket comes over, it overlaps it and seals it up nicely. This is going to stop all that cold air getting too far into your lungs, and it's going to protect your nose a little bit too, mainly just for summit attempt, unless you would like to wear one of these when it's a bit colder on days kind of 5 and 6 as well. On top of the balaclava, obviously a beanie, whatever beanie you like, just make sure it's warm and it covers your ears. Nothing too much to say about that one. You probably won't need gloves for almost the whole trek except for summit attempt, and when you do go for summit attempt, if you leave your hands out in the open, they're definitely going to get some wind damage and some cold damage there too. So I went for the X series gloves by Kathmandu. I promise this is not an advert for Kathmandu, it just happened to be in the store when I bought this stuff. These are Gore-Tex, they're Alpine rated, and they come with a liner glove inside there too. So for summit attempt, absolutely need gloves. If you don't wear gloves on summit attempt, you're gonna have to keep your hands in your pockets, so you won't be able to use trekking poles. What I did find as a bit of a note on the side is with the trekking poles, summit attempt is actually going to take 9 hours. So it's 9 hours of using trekking poles as you climb up the mountain, and your hands are out like this with a grip like this, and they're not really moving much. So they're out in the elements with no movement no huge circulation, and they're going to get cold regardless. So you definitely want something to keep as much warmth in as possible. Maybe look at hand warmers as well. You're definitely going to want some very sturdy boots for this climb. There's a lot of different terrain covered, and I went for the Salomon 4D Gore-Tex shoes that go above the ankle. These boots are incredibly grippy. I've never experienced grip quite as good as these shoes before. I've never actually felt more confident in my step before. These ones are waterproof. They'll go through snow, no worries. I wouldn't have had anywhere near as a comfortable as a climb as I had if I didn't have these boots with me. If you're looking for a new boot, definitely go for the Salomon. That's what I would recommend anyway. Something you may not have thought about is when you get to camp, you're probably not going to want to wear your muddy boots. You might want to give your feet a rest, so a pair of thongs, or if you're from outside of Australia, flip-flops. Thongs can mean a very different thing in different countries. They're going to be very helpful for you. Throw a pair of thongs into your bag as well, because you're probably going to be thankful for them once you get to camp. The sun actually gets quite intense once you get to higher altitudes. Sunglasses. I actually went for the Julbo Vermont Classic, so they're the very old school style of sunglasses. If you go onto their website, you can choose your own lens category. These are obviously polarized, but they're very, very heavily shaded for alpine areas. The other great thing about these is they have a little, I've taken them off for daily use, but they have little side windshields so you don't get a lot of wind into the sides of your eye. I love these sunglasses, so make sure you get yourself a pair of really good sunglasses for the trek. Most summit attempts will happen at nighttime. We started ours at around about 10 p.m, 10:30 at night, because we wanted to get to summit for sunrise, so you have to make the walk at nighttime. We actually scheduled our summit attempt for a full moon, so we got there just when the full moon was fully in bloom and there was no clouds in the sky, so we didn't really need too much to light our way, but we still took headlamps with us. We went for the Black Diamond spot headlamps. They're fantastic. Take some extra batteries if you need them. You'll definitely want this, not only for camp, but if you're not going on a full moon summit attempt, this is going to come in very, very handy. If you're looking to charge your devices on the trail up Kilimanjaro, there is no electricity, there's no power points, so probably going to want to take a power bank or two depending on how many devices you have. Before I summited Kilimanjaro, I did see a lot of questions about if you need a thermos for drinking water on summit attempt, because it does get so cold up there. The idea is you boil the water, you put it in your thermos, and when you do reach those minus 25 degree temperatures, your water bottle's not frozen over, so you can still drink the water, and it should be around about room temperature by that time. I never used it. I took two, so I had two 500ml thermoses, never used them, so I would leave those behind. So that's all the bulk of the gear. There's an assortment of different medications you'll need as well, but the less serious medications which will definitely help you out will be GastroStop, because you can get diarrhea as a symptom of higher altitudes, and also something called degas. When you do go into those higher altitudes, your stomach will actually expand slightly because there's less pressure in the atmosphere, and that can create more gas in your stomach, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for you and whoever you're sleeping in the tent with as well. So it's a very good idea to take some of that degas. So that's the basics once again for pretty much everything I had in my pack on the way up Kilimanjaro. If I've left anything out or you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And until next time, guys, I'll see you on the trail, and good luck summiting Kilimanjaro.